Great Northwoods to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, police are still searching for a suspect who fled after an alleged assault in Old Town and actually was arrested. Early this morning. We'll have an update to that very soon.
Yeah, we just learned he was arrested overnight.
Yeah.
Also this morning, as college students make their way back to school, business owners say they're cracking down on the use of fake IDs.
And several EMS professionals were honored at the State House in Augusta for their commitment and hard work. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us on this Friday morning.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Very happy about that. We'll have all the day's news coming up over the next hour, but first a check of that forecast. Boy, yesterday it was looking like today was going to be just total rain and washout. It's looking like it's going to be more on the cloudy side with a chance of passing showers, but maybe not quite as wet as we thought it was going to be.
That's good news. Tomorrow actually looks really nice.
Fantastic.
That's good news.
Yeah.
We'll turn things over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Happy Friday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, let's get into things this morning. We do have a dense fog advisory in effect for the southeastern parts of the state, and that will last until about 9 a.m. as we head through this morning. So we are watching for some reduced visibility. And we can see that with the observations that are showing up across parts of Washington County. So definitely be careful if you're traveling in this area. Visibilities will be reduced as a result of some areas of dense fog. In the meantime, we are watching an area of low pressure tracking through. We are seeing some clouds developing and a few showers and some thunderstorms will be developing today as we do move forward. We are seeing some precipitation to the north for now and also to the south. We will see some in our backyard as we do move forward today. Futurecast showing some development too, along with some clouds. We'll see things backing off later on tonight, with Saturday being a nice day with everything clearing out. The hourly forecast moving forward again. We'll have clouds, a few showers and thunderstorms on the way, with temperatures warming up into the 70s through the afternoon. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa.
Sounds good. Thank you, Devin. We'll see you a little later on. Well, first this morning, the manhunt has ended for a man wanted for an alleged assault in Old Town. A large police presence was spotted in that area Thursday following an alleged incident that occurred at a residence on Poplar Street.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be involving a Nathan Lagasse having a schizophrenic episode and has assaulted her with a knife.
The individual police were looking for is 28-year-old Nathan Lagasse. Lagasse is accused of committing domestic violence assault against an adult female who police say suffered non-life-threatening injuries, described as lacerations. The alleged assault is believed to have taken place on Poplar Street just before 11:30 yesterday morning. Stillwater Avenue between Kelly Road and Orono and Chase Road in Bangor were all closed yesterday as a helicopter searched overhead. The details of his arrest are still unknown, but we confirmed he was arrested and booked into the Penobscot County Jail around 1 o'clock this morning. He faces charges including domestic violence, elevated aggravated assault, kidnapping, and obstructing the report of a crime.
Well, meanwhile, after less than an hour of deliberation, a Somerset County jury convicted a Norridgewock man of murdering his girlfriend's son. According to a report on centralmaine.com, 60-year-old Daniel Markey was convicted of intentional or knowing murder in the shooting death of Christopher Nickerson in early March of 2025. He now faces 25 years to life in prison, but the court has not yet set a sentencing date. In the meantime, he will remain in the Somerset County Jail. The report says the trial lasted 2.5 days. The jury deliberated for roughly 40 minutes. Markey's lawyer says that they plan to appeal.
Police are investigating a fatal crash in Augusta that happened Thursday morning. Augusta Police Chief Kevin Lully says just before 6 o'clock Thursday, officers responded to the area of Route 3 and the West River Road for reports of a two-vehicle crash. Lully says they came upon the scene and found a Kenworth T880 commercial vehicle driven by 29-year-old Christopher Armstrong of Washington, Maine, and a Toyota Camry driven by 29-year-old Cameron LaFletch of Winslow. LaFletch was pronounced dead at the scene. Both the Augusta Police Department and the Maine State Police are investigating. If you have any information about that crash, they're asking you to call the Augusta Police Department.
A suspect in a Bangor stabbing has been indicted for attempted murder. 37-year-old Abel Perez of Bangor was also indicted on several other charges, including elevated aggravated assault and theft by unauthorized taking. Just before midnight on June 20th, police were called to a residence on Essex Street for an assault using a knife. A spokesperson says officers found a victim with critical injuries that had been stabbed. Perez was identified as the suspect, but he had fled. He was arrested in New York 2 days later. The grand jury also indicted a man on numerous charges in connection with a shooting on a Bangor trail. 38-year-old Justin Grover of Bangor was arrested after a man with several gunshot wounds told officers he had been approached on the trail and shot by an unknown individual that had fled. The grand jury indicted Grover on elevated aggravated assault, unlawful possession of drugs, and possession of a firearm by a prohibited person. And finally, 2 people were arrested after allegedly entering a man's home in Bangor and assaulting him with a baseball bat. They were also indicted. 28-year-old Serena Butcher of Bangor and 26-year-old Bradley Dean of Brewer allegedly went to the man's home to get information about their friend's stolen car. They were both indicted for burglary, assault, and aggravated criminal trespass.
A bridge in Millinocket was dedicated to a fallen Maine State Police detective who died in the line of duty. Our Sam Miller with that story.
At 10 a.m. Thursday, a ceremony at the intersection of Route 11 and North Twin Dam Road in Millinocket officially dedicated a bridge to the late Ben Campbell, a Maine State Police detective who was killed in 2019 when he was struck by a wheel that detached from a passing logging truck. Senator Susan Collins, as well as police officers, friends, and family, all came to pay their respects to an officer who embodied the term service before self.
He was a hero not because of the way that his life ended, but because of his commitment to our safety each and every day.
After Campbell's passing, the Maine State Legislature voted unanimously to name the bridge in his honor. Colonel William Ross, Chief of Maine State Police, hopes that those who drive across will gain a better understanding of what it means to serve.
When all of us go out, law enforcement, first responders go out, and they're there to serve and protect the public. And some of us end up making the ultimate sacrifice with their lives, and that's what Ben did.
Campbell's colleagues describe him as a model officer with a positive attitude and say they can't think of a better way to keep his memory alive.
Just a great reminder for anyone driving past here, to always remember him. Of course, people that know him and worked with him will never forget him, but so that everyone else since then can also memorialize him also.
He was just a good guy, a solid trooper, did really well. Had seen a lot in his short career. He'd done a lot, got promoted early to detective.
The newly dedicated bridge now stands as a memorial to Ben Campbell, a steadfast detective and loving father and husband. In Millinocket, Sam Miller, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
What a nice story. Well, meanwhile, a daycare in Trenton has been shut down for 9 days now due to a DHHS order, something the owner claims is in retaliation for her reports against the department. The Maine Department of Health and Human Services issued a 10-day suspension to Tiny Tykes in Trenton. According to the department, daycare workers were missing background checks, CPR and first aid certifications, and child care provider forms. Additionally, DHHS claims that 6 of the 16 children on site at the time of the inspection did not have documents permitting emergency medical treatment. 9 days into the order, gubernatorial candidate Bobby Charles came by the daycare to listen to the parents, workers, and owner Betsy Grant share their stories. During that conversation, Grant said that the order was unjust. She did not want to go on camera, but she says that DHHS is retaliating against her due to reports she made about neglect in the department. In 2025, she filed a lawsuit claiming the same.
I guess I was just shocked by the series of allegations that have begun to pile up around DHHS, and in particular around how they have apparently retaliated in many ways against providers of child care.
We reached out to the Department of Health and Human Services for comment and left a message with our request. They did not respond. DHHS advised Grant to hire qualified and vetted workers at that time or close the facility until her current staff can get the proper paperwork.
As students flood back to Maine college campuses, business owners say another back-to-school trend is making its way through the door: fake IDs. Our Alex Schley has more on what businesses are doing to crack down.
You'll definitely see a bit of an uptick.
According to the National Institute of Health, Orientation Week and the first week of classes, also known as Syllabus Week, are among the heaviest periods for alcohol consumption during the academic year. And for underage students looking to join in, that can mean attempting to use a fake ID.
At the beginning of the year, you'll find some similarities between them, I guess. So you'll start to know after a couple what to look for.
Maxon says while fake ID production has gotten more advanced, there are certainly tells, so vendors are educating staff on those tells and how to detect them.
As different states do different things and change, just like we have in Maine with all the different holograms and whatnot. So.
And leaders have one thing to say to students looking to use a fake ID this semester.
Good luck. I mean, the staff's pretty good.
Any fake IDs that are seized are turned over to law enforcement. Officials also remind students that using a fake ID can lead to criminal charges. In Orono, Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, the time now is 6:11. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, Canada has removed seafood products from its retaliatory tariff list. We'll have the story ahead.
But first, another look at that forecast. Today will be a partly cloudy day with a chance of a few thunderstorms. High temps around 78. More unsettled weather tonight with lows in the mid-50s. Tomorrow, a gorgeous, mostly sunny day. We're going to be happy to be alive, Janessa.
We sure are.
It's going to be 78 tomorrow. We'll be right back.
From the heart of Maine, where rugged beauty meets timeless craftsmanship, Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, taming the outdoors through groundwork, retaining walls and seawalls, building custom fireplaces that become the centerpiece of your home, crafting granite steps and patios that invite you outdoors, designing hardscapes that turn yards into living spaces, built to last, crafted for life. Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, quality in every stone. Hey Red Sox fans, you've got to play You Pick'em Red Sox at foxbangor.com. Local weekly winners receive prizes from Chase's Family Restaurant in Bangor or from Chick-fil-A. Register now at foxbangor.com. You Pick'em Red Sox is sponsored by Seasons Grill and Lounge on Main Street in Bangor, Twin City Tile, State Street in Brewer, and Bogies on Stillwater Avenue in Bangor.
Spin the wheel, the letters show. Guess it right, the prizes grow. Wheel of Fortune brings the cheer. Vanna smiles, the fun is here. Puzzles waiting, prizes too. Wheel of Fortune is here for you. Weeknights at 7 on ABC 7. Gather around, Wheel of Fortune's the best game in town. I'm Laura from Nobleboro, and I'm a wheel watcher.
Half-off deals are waiting for you at foxbangor.com. Click on half-off deals and see how much you can save only at foxbangor.com.
Canada has removed seafood and fish products from its retaliatory tariff list. According to a statement from the Canadian Finance Department, their decision late Wednesday night was based on, quote, feedback and to protect against broader economic harms. Removing the 25% tariff is welcome news to Maine Lobstermen's Association, who says it would have put downward pressure on an industry already operating on thin margins. Its executive director, Patrice Macron, said in part, quote, we appreciate Canada's decision to listen to the concerns raised by seafood industry and remove seafood from these tariffs. We urge both governments to continue protecting the long-standing tariff-free trade in lobster that benefits fishermen, businesses, and coastal communities throughout North America. Canada's retaliatory tariffs are expected to go into effect on September 8th.
A Maine defense technology company cut the ribbon on a new facility in Old Town Thursday that will give them the space and materials to test combat and defense software. Turbine One is a defense technology company that creates machine learning algorithms and other software that warfighters can figure out how to find their targets, helps them anyway, or to defend themselves against attacks. A lot of that work is related to drones. The facility they cut the ribbon on will be used to build inexpensive drones and other equipment that will allow them to test the software they formulate, but not destroy expensive equipment during that testing process.
The typical drones, they run anywhere from $6,000 upwards of much more. And that kind of stuff, you can't take the chance that it's going to crash or destroy it just because you'd want it to. So we've actually made it so that you can get it down to, say, $50 around much cheaper materials, particularly around wood and maybe, as we're finding, wood pulp.
Macker says they hope to be able to make, sell, and ship packs of the low-cost drones to their defense sector customers. He also said technology currently under development at the University of Maine Composite Labs might enable them to use even cheaper materials in the future to bring the tester drone price down even more.
Well, more than 30 EMS professionals were recognized in Augusta. Our Grace Blanchard with that story.
EMS clinicians, partners, and organizations were honored at the State House Thursday for their dedication to Maine's communities.
I didn't think UVAC would ever get recognized for something like this, but I think it goes to show the hard work that we do, because we don't get paid for what we do. We truly just have passion and we love what we do, and we don't need anything for it, but this is just, it's amazing.
This year's celebration marks the 36th anniversary of the Maine EMS Awards.
In Maine, we have more than 280 individual EMS services. And that consists of individuals that may be your neighbors, your loved ones, and they are there to respond on a minute's notice.
However, EMS leaders say low funding and staffing levels are straining the industry.
Anyone in the state expect when they dial 911, they're going to get an ambulance. And we try as hard as we can to do that and make that happen, but it's not always the case.
Sears says that's why there's a strong push to fund EMS education and training so the next generation can answer the call.
Really, it starts with the education. So if we could support them in the training and education and really mentor them and get them into the workforce, that's going to help everybody.
In Augusta, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Good for them.
Yeah, that's great. They got recognized. Yeah. Well, the time now is 6:17. After the break, new controversy over a Callaway and Good golfing ad. We'll have the latest on that coming up.
Plus, Penquis has been awarded an extension for their transportation services. We'll hear from them as Good Morning Maine rolls along.
Troy Jackson likes to keep it in the family. When Jackson was Senate president, his son was one of the highest paid lobbyists in town. Special interests paid his son, and Jackson changed his positions. Just another dirty politician. SLF PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
This morning, this will make you happy. It makes you happy. It's the one and only Sheryl Crow, lighting up your summer morning. This morning, Sheryl Crow, only on GMA's Summer Concert Series, sponsored by Norwegian Cruise Line.
Got old metal and junk cars? Turn that clutter into cash at Daddy and Daughters. We make recycling easy, fast, and fair. From Skowhegan to Dover Foxcroft, from Troy to Lee, you can trust our certified scales and friendly service, offering top prices for junk vehicles in Maine. Whether you drop off or we pick up, Daddy and Daughters covers Central and Eastern Maine. Come see us at one of our 4 locations and watch your scrap pay off. Daddy and Daughters turn scrap into cash.
Driving is what drives me. The road, it's always felt like home. Out here, I can chase the rush, feel the adrenaline, live the joy of the track. But when the day winds down, it's back to real life, back to the daily drive. That's why I choose AAA Auto Insurance. With AAA on board, I earn discounts for driving responsibly. So I know wherever the road leads, AAA is by my side.
Welcome back, everyone. Continuing our coverage of Penquis Motive Care and non-emergency transportation services for Maine Care members. The nonprofit has now been awarded an extension to manage its services for those members.
Our Doug Banks has the latest.
Penquis CAP has provided transportation services for over 40 years, serving
anywhere from 5,000 to 6,000 a month of unique individuals that we transport.
It's really a convenience. It's been a great service. I think they're angels. I'm lucky to have them.
Those rides can range from medical and vet appointments to birthday dinners and grocery shopping. For the last 13 years, the nonprofit has provided non-emergency transportation services for Maine Care members in Penobscot and Piscataquis counties. But in 2023, Colorado-based MotiveCare was awarded a 10-year, $750 million contract by Maine DHHS, effectively making them the statewide provider of those services. Penquist appealed that decision based on a lack of public input and transparency. Despite their efforts, Maine's highest court affirmed the state's 2023 decision. Penquist's operating contract was originally up at the end of the year, but Maine DHHS has since extended it to June 30th.
Of 2027. That means that everyone that utilizes that service can still reach out to Penquist and schedule in the same way through that period of time.
MotiveCare will step in as a broker for the program. A senior VP of the company told us they intend to work alongside Penquist to provide the service.
We'll definitely come to the table and be interested to see if we can make a partnership work to ensure that Mainers are getting where they need to go in a reliable, safe way.
In Bangor, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, this has been kind of an ongoing situation, so it's good they have that extension.
Yeah, good news for them. Further information for Maine Care members utilizing Penquist's transportation services can go to our website at foxbangor.com. Certainly promising news.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now let's get a full look at our forecast with meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. Let's get into things. We do have reduced visibility across parts of Washington County this morning. You can tell we're down to about a couple miles or even less. So as a result of this reduced visibility, we do have a dense fog advisory up until about 9 a.m. this morning in this part of the state. You can see where it's in effect, so definitely be careful if you are traveling there this morning, as it will be difficult to see for quite some time. Checking out the wayfindings, we're at around 3 feet according to the buoys. No small craft advisories or anything are in effect this morning. A lot of places are at around 3 feet, so overall we are looking pretty good as we do start things off. Meanwhile, no precipitation in our backyard. We do have some clouds developing from the southwest going toward the north and east. Some other areas seeing some precipitation at this time. We will see some more showers and thunderstorms for us as we head throughout the daytime period today, with an area low pressure, a cold front passing through before we clear things out later on tonight, and tomorrow being a nice day. So let's get into things here. Again, we do have some clouds, some more showers, and a few rumbles of thunder on the way for us today. And then later on tonight, look at this. Everything clears on out of here, and Saturday, look at this, being a very nice day. Just some clouds developing for the afternoon and evening time frame, and even then that will be rather minimal. Then a little bit more energy on the way as we head towards early Sunday. As for the wind, not too bad. A few gusts getting close to 20 miles per hour, so a little gusty, but nothing too extreme there. The winds, all right, a few gusts as we head towards overnight, but then Saturday, any gusty winds will be farther off towards the north through the afternoon. All right, your forecast coming up for today. A few thunderstorms, otherwise partly cloudy. Highs in the upper 70s, and a south wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Higher gusts are possible. By tonight, some thunderstorms early, then clouds and fog overnight with lows in the mid-50s, and that northwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. For tomorrow, a beautiful day, mostly sunny, highs in the upper 70s, northwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And your extended forecast Sunday, more showers and some thunderstorms with low 80s for the high. And then Monday, mostly sunny with highs in the upper 70s. And then Tuesday, some showers with highs in the upper 70s.
It looked like another government shutdown that would cut Maine families off the programs they need. But Senator Susan Collins led the fight to keep government open, bridging the divide between Republicans and Democrats, and protecting federal funding and critical family services to help children and mothers in need. Senator Collins' bipartisan leadership makes a difference. Call and tell Senator Collins to keep government working for Maine families.
Summer's fading, leaves will turn. Every day's a chance to learn. Backpacks packed and sneakers tied. Big dreams waiting, full of pride. From Calais to Greenville, across our towns and by the sea. Bangor, Brewer, Belfast too. Every morning starts brand new. It's back to school in Maine again. Seeing classmates making friends. The school bus rolls, the day begins. Adventure waits around the bend. Parents checking what to wear. Cool or rainy will help prepare. School day forecast, local news too. ABC 7 and Fox 22. School bells ringing, pencil sharp, music, science, reading, art, from Ellsworth up to Old Town. Smiles are shining all around. Pack the lunch and grab your coat. Check the forecast before you go. Every morning, come what may, ABC 7 and Fox 22 help start the day. It's back to school in Maine again. Dreaming big and making friends. Here's to a safe and happy year for Maine families far and near.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
The fate of Lindsay Clancy is now in the hands of a jury. Her lawyers claim she was suffering from severe mental illness when she killed her 3 kids, while prosecutors insist she knew what she was doing. Here's ABC's Andrea Fujii.
It's day 2 of jury deliberations in the Lindsay Clancy murder trial. The jury of 9 women and 3 men are deciding the fate of the Massachusetts mother who killed her 3 young children.
This young lady is not guilty of the killing of her children because she was suffering from a disease and defect.
The defense arguing she did not knowingly strangle them, saying instead that Clancy was a devoted mother and a nurse, but was plagued by severe postpartum psychosis, made worse by a mix of more than a dozen psychiatric medications.
Clonazepam, quetiapine, diazepam, quetiapine, it goes on and on and on and on and on.
But the prosecution claims Clancy knew what she was doing when she sent her husband out that day on errands.
The indifference that she showed to their pain, to their struggle, to their suffering, leaving them there on the floor with the bands around their necks.
The prosecutor claiming Clancy killed her children because they were the only protective factor keeping her from trying to take her own life.
Those kids were keeping her from ending her misery. And so she had to remove the protective factor. And I'm not saying she was happy about it. I'm saying that it was what she had to do to end her misery. But it was a choice.
Clancy does not deny taking her children's lives and is now in a wheelchair after jumping from a window after their deaths. It's now up to the jury to decide if she goes to prison or a mental health facility.
Andrea Fujii, ABC News, New York.
In other news, rescuers were racing to find hundreds of people still missing after that catastrophic flash flood struck the Himalayan border between Nepal and China 2 days earlier. The death toll rose, and authorities warned that an overflowing lake formed after the disaster. It could trigger further flooding. Nepal police said the country's death toll has risen to 469, while China has not updated its report of just 3 deaths in Tibet. Together, the 2 countries have said that more than 1,500 people are still missing. They urged people in potentially affected areas to move to safer ground. The Nepalese army said that a team was sent to the border point to inspect for the potential for more flooding.
Well, we're now learning more about the close call between a passenger jet and President Trump's Marine One helicopter. It turns out White House construction may be to blame for the communication issues. ABC's Karen Watt is in Washington with more.
This morning, new questions about how construction at the White House may have caused a communication issue that allowed a passenger plane at Reagan National Airport to take off almost at the same time as President Trump's Marine One helicopter. Per protocol, commercial airspace should be cleared 3 minutes before Marine One takes off. But the helicopter lost communication with air traffic control. As heard on the radio from August 4th, controllers did not hear any 3-minute warnings from Marine One.
Marine One, you said you're proceeding as briefed?
National Tower, that's Marine One, proceeding as briefed.
Okay, no 3 minutes, Roger, proceed as briefed.
The FAA says the 2 aircraft were not on course to crash, and President Trump was never in danger. But just yesterday, a similar problem happened again, which forced another helicopter in the presidential fleet to relay messages between Marine One and Reagan Airport's tower.
Marine One, how do you hear?
I can't hear Marine One. If you hear Marine One, can you let me know?
This is the same airport where a military Black Hawk helicopter collided with a passenger plane last year, killing all 67 people on board. On Thursday, investigators released their first report on the Marine One incident, suggesting the new helipad construction at the White House may have caused inadequate line of sight with FAA radio equipment at Reagan Airport. Technicians relocated an antenna to improve communications and are continuing to investigate. In a statement, the White House says it continues to work with relevant military, FAA, and other security personnel to ensure the president's continued safety. Karen Hua, ABC News, Washington.
The Democratic Republic of Congo begins vaccinating people against Ebola as the country continues experiencing the deadliest outbreak of the disease in its recorded history. The DR Congo began giving out vaccines for Ebola on Thursday. Health workers and responders were among the first to receive a shot. According to Congo's state news agency, more than 50,000 doses have been received. Meanwhile, at least 6 provinces have been affected by the deadly outbreak. According to the government, there were 5,713 confirmed cases and 2,744 deaths related to the disease as of Tuesday. The World Health Organization says the current Ebola outbreak is on pace to surpass the 2014 to 2016 West Africa Ebola outbreak, which was the deadliest ever recorded, killing more than 11,000 people.
Well, now to the new fallout from a controversial ad critics say was below par. ABC's Hannah Batat with that story.
It's the advertisement causing an uproar in the golf world.
Do not touch my new driver.
The online ad promoting a driver from Callaway and the popular YouTube golf channel Good Good shows co-founder Garrett Clark shoving a female golfer to the ground as she reaches for his club. The backlash was instant, critics saying it depicted violence against women, and the ad was pulled. Clark says it was a scripted skit, spoofing the horror movie Obsession, with players being possessed by an evil golf club.
Looking back at it, terrible concept, terrible ad. Once I watched it back and it got posted, my skin was crawling. I was cringing. This is not at all what we stand for.
Callaway, which acknowledges it approved the ad, is now cutting ties with Good Good entirely, ending a 3-year partnership. And it's pledging $1 million to groups working to prevent violence against women. The company's saying these actions do not undo the harm caused or excuse our role in it. Good Good is also stepping away as title sponsor of a PGA Tour event this fall, and major retailers are reportedly pulling its products off shelves. Clark says the woman in the ad is now receiving hundreds of abusive messages. He's asking people to direct their anger at him instead.
Put it towards me personally. I can handle it.
Hannah Batat, ABC News, New York.
Well, coming up on the second half of the newscast, companies behind AI saying they need to come together to fight security threats.
We'll have the story coming up.
The right dock should fit your shoreline and make life on the water easier, more rewarding, and more fun. When you choose Shoremaster from Hammond Lumber Company, you get all that, along with unmatched strength, versatility, and style. Shoremaster's tool-free Infinity Track system makes adding accessories a breeze. Hammond also offers poly-dock floating docks, perfect for deep or fluctuating waters. Transform your waterfront into your personal paradise with a Shoremaster Infinity Dock system or floating poly-dock system from Hammond Lumber Company.
30 years living in Washington changes someone. I feel like politicians should be working for us, not getting rich from stock trading. But Susan Collins doesn't think so. Susan Collins wants to keep it so that senators can play the stock market, making millions of dollars. While the rest of the state is struggling, it's just wrong. We need to tell Susan Collins to stop the congressional stock trading.
Ready to create your backyard oasis? Alexander's Professional Landscaping will work with you to create your perfect outdoor space. Work one-on-one with our landscape designer to create a unique garden to fit your family's personal aesthetics and lifestyle. Have our pros install your new lawn, garden, or patio. Schedule a consultation today by calling 573-4497. Alexander's Professional Landscaping, the way landscaping should be.
On the pavement, Sunday, October 4th at the Sea Dog on the Bangor waterfront. Register now at purpleirisfoundation.com or scan the QR code. Start a fundraiser, win prizes. Sign up by September 1st and get a free t-shirt. Goodie bags for the first 200 people to register. Cancer survivors sign up for free. Proceeds support those battling cancer in Maine. Pound the Pavement, sponsored by the Sea Dog, Summit America, Peter and Deb Brontes, Eventful Maine, ABC7, and Fox 22.
You're watching ABC7 Bangor.
Welcome back, everyone. Today is Friday, August 28th, 2026. This is also Rainbow Bridge Remembrance Day.
This holiday offers a special time to honor cherished pets who have crossed over the Rainbow Bridge. It's a day to share fond memories and find comfort in a community that understands the unique bond that we share with our animal companions. It was created as a way for others to openly mourn and celebrate the lives of our pets.
All right, time to get to some history. Today, we have some interesting things.
We do.
It was in 1898, pharmacist Caleb Bradham of North Carolina changed the name of the carbonated beverage that he created 5 years earlier from Brad's Drink to Pepsi Cola.
Great rebrand.
It was originally called Brad's Drink. It was renamed after two ingredients used in the recipe, including pepsin and cola nuts. Pepsi, of course, is now a major corporation that sells everything from Doritos to Quaker Oats. And it all started at that little pharmacy.
Yeah,
how
pretty
about
cool.
that? 1957 on this date, Senator Strom Thurmond of South Carolina set a new record for the longest filibuster in Senate history. He spoke for 24 hours and 18 minutes to stall the passage of the Civil Rights Act that year. And in 1963, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his famous I Have a Dream speech in Washington. An estimated 250,000 people gathered in front of the Lincoln Memorial to witness that important moment in history.
Lots of important history today. In 1965, sandwich restaurant Subway was founded in Bridgeport, Connecticut. It was created by 17-year-old Fred DeLuca and family friend Peter Buck and was originally called Pete's Super Submarines.
How about that?
That's funny.
Yeah.
In 1968, police and anti-war demonstrators clashed in the streets of Chicago where the Democratic National Convention was underway. Police used tear gas and billy clubs against the demonstrators and news reporters who were there covering that event. 11 people were killed and many were injured during what investigators determined was a police riot. And in 1996, Britain's Prince Charles and Princess Diana announced their divorce after 15 years of marriage.
Very controversial at the
Yes.
time. All right, for birthdays today, they include actor Jack Black, a real funny guy. He is 57 today. Country singer Shania Twain is 61. And Olympic gold medal skater Scott Hamilton is 68 years old today. Happy birthday to them and to you also, if your birthday is today.
Well,
I love Shania Twain.
Me too. I was just going to say I love Jack Black.
Yeah, I like
He's
him too,
hilarious. Now we'll turn things right back over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Happy Friday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, let's get into things this morning. We do have a dense fog advisory in effect for the southeastern parts of the state. And that will last until about 9 a.m. as we head through this morning. So we are watching for some reduced visibility. And we can see that with the observations that are showing up across parts of Washington County. So definitely be careful if you're traveling in this area. Visibilities will be reduced as a result of some areas of dense fog. In the meantime, we are watching an area of low pressure tracking through. We are seeing some clouds developing and a few showers and some thunderstorms will be developing today as we do move forward. We are seeing some precipitation to the north for now and also to the south. south. We will see some in our backyard as we do move forward today. Futurecast showing some development too, along with some clouds. We'll see things backing off later on tonight, with Saturday being a nice day with everything clearing out. The hourly forecast moving forward again. We'll have clouds, a few showers and thunderstorms on the way, with temperatures warming up into the 70s through the afternoon. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa.
All right, thank you, Devin. Well, now here's some more history for you. 21 years after Hurricane Katrina slammed the Gulf Coast, the region is remembering the nearly 1,400 lives lost in a storm that forever changed it. From southeast Louisiana to coastal Mississippi and Alabama, Hurricane Katrina destroyed homes, businesses, and forced thousands of people from their communities. New Orleans took the hardest hit, suffering catastrophic flooding, leaving 80% of the city underwater. But just 8 months later, Jazz Fest returned, reconnecting the community and showcasing the city's resilience. In the years since, a massive rebuilding effort has brought new schools, facilities, and the redevelopment of entire neighborhoods. Katrina also led to stronger evacuation plans and better communication among agencies. And the sense of community remains strong as New Orleans continues to rebuild even now.
Yeah, they're still putting back putting the city back together all these many years later. Boy, I remember when it was all unfolding. What a horrible event.
Very, very severe.
Yeah.
Well, still to come here this morning, Max Sturm with sports.
Don't go away.
Lakeshore Restaurant in Dexter is open for the season, featuring a wide selection of seafood, lobster, salads, sandwiches, and more. Plus, don't forget to save room for dessert. Dine in or take out at 16 Crockett Road in Dexter. Visit us today.
Do you take propane tank?
Anything goes.
How about cardboard?
Anything goes.
How about old rug?
Yeah, anything goes.
So this too?
Furniture removal, basements, garages, attics, hoarder houses. It doesn't matter here at Anything Goes Junk Removal. Anything goes. Well, almost anything.
All right, let's go, come on!
Let's go!
Super Bowl 61 is coming.
Let's go!
And everyone's going.
Go!
Bye.
Because once the game starts,
Let's go! You better get on that bus. Bye, Jimmy.
Well, don't just stand there.
everything else stops.
Lakeshore Restaurant in Dexter is open for the season, featuring a wide selection of seafood, lobster, salads, sandwiches, and more. Plus, don't forget to save room for dessert. Dine in or take out at 16 Crockett Road in Dexter. Visit us today.
ABC 7 and Fox 22's Jack Webb named Maine's Sportscaster of the Year by the National Sports Media Association.
Welcome back in, folks. The Maine Black Bears begin the Division I college football season with their game versus Townsend University. The season is different for the Black Bears for a couple of reasons. First, their opening game will be played versus a conference opponent. Townsend University finished the 2025 season 7th in the CAA conference with a 6-6 record, but head coach Jordan Stevens says that they are a very talented team that will present a challenge for Maine.
I mean, first of all, their quarterback is very good. True freshman quarterback last year, a guy who's returning and able to make every throw on the field. You know, the other piece with them is just well coached. If you look at like their penalties, their turnover margin, each of the last 3 years when their head coach has been there, it's been, you know, they've been excellent in those areas.
Another difference for the Black Bears, their quarterback, redshirt sophomore Eddie Bueller, will get his first Division I start. He stated earlier this week that he knows what to expect from Townsend, and defensive lineman Kai Presley says if the team stays focused on their game, they will get the job done.
I would say they fire on the ball. They try to knock the ball out. Got to have good ball security. They switch. It seems like they're going to switch between 3 down, 4 down. Just got to be ready for whatever. Just do our job. Know what we have to do to execute.
They got a pretty good O-line, pretty solid running back room, pretty good QB. Got some all-conference recognition. So we just staying in our process, just trying to do the best we can, and just try to cage the guy and just do what we can do.
Let's bring you that game now. Eddie Bueller gets it going in the second quarter as he floats one high to the end zone from Malik McNeely. He's got it from 18 yards out, and Maine takes the early lead. Rashawn Marshall would score to make it 14-0, and then with less than a minute left in the half, Bueller is back to slinging it. This time he hits Nick Laughlin, and he is in to extend the lead to 21-0. Second half, 21-8 now. Andrew Indorf fires short, and it's tipped by Sam Oppenheimer and picked off by Braden Isaiah. No score would come from that, and later in the third, Indorf makes up for it with a 59-yard bomb. It's caught in stride by Cleveland Charlton. Suddenly, it's 21-15. Then with the fate of the game in the hands of the defense, it's Oppenheimer and Irv Wiggins Jr. combining for the strip on the runner. Black Bears take over, and they win 21-18. Let's move to the NFL now, and the Patriots who took on the Cleveland Browns in their third and final preseason game on Thursday. This one starts for the Browns, getting the opening score. Dylan Gabriel toss outside to tight end Luke Floria. He cuts the corner and gets into the end zone, 7-0 Browns. But the Pats respond, and Tommy DeVito loads up from 45 yards out. It's Kyle Williams on the receiving end, and he takes it in for his third touchdown in 3 games. Let's get him some touches this year. He's been unbelievable. It did not take long for Cleveland to answer back, however, as Gabriel hits Floria again over the middle. Once again, he's in to extend the lead. End of the first half, Gabriel is going to throw his third touchdown pass of the night. This time it's to Amani Marshall. And there really wasn't much more to it here as the Browns go on to win. Let's quickly turn it to the Red Sox, who are coming off a stinker of a loss to the Miami Marlins. Let me just state now that the Red Sox did win the series versus the Marlins, capturing a 4-2 victory on Monday and a 7-3 win on Tuesday. But on Wednesday, it just didn't look like the team was all there as they fell 4-0 in the final game of the series. The Sox didn't do themselves any favors, registering just 5 hits all game and tallying 4 errors in the process. Interim manager Chad Tracy spoke about the mishaps after the game was over.
Yeah, I mean, we had some sloppy play, obviously. When you get them in positions where, they can play their game, which we kept at bay for the most part, but they like to start running and things like that. Obviously, some of those errors were on throws. Made one late, but obviously it contributed to a degree to the runs. But at the end of the day, we didn't score either.
Boston now gears up for their series with the Yankees this weekend. For right now, that's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
The Farmer's Table in Corinna brings you outstanding breakfasts, lunches, and dinners made from farm-grown fresh ingredients. Dinner specials are available every day. Enjoy our homemade desserts, and above all, bring your appetite to the Farmer's Table in Corinna.
Davis Brothers Furniture is expanding. At Davis Brothers, we've always strived to stand out from the rest, and we are now proud to offer flooring for your home, featuring both carpeting and luxury vinyl flooring. We even have an installer in-house with over 30 years of experience. Come see the reason people have been traveling from all over the state and beyond to Davis Brothers Furniture in Guilford for decades. Davis Brothers Furniture, deliberately different, delivering statewide.
You don't get to buy the government that you want.
But let's look at what Troy Jackson did, because Troy Jackson likes to keep it in the family. When Jackson was state Senate president, his son was one of the highest paid lobbyists in town. Special interests paid his son, and Jackson changed his positions. Was it a coincidence, or was something corrupt? Troy Jackson is just another dirty politician. SLF PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
The Farmer's Table in Corinna brings you outstanding breakfasts, lunches, and dinners made from farm-grown fresh ingredients. Dinner specials are available every day. Enjoy our homemade desserts, and above all, bring your appetite to the Farmer's Table in Corinna.
Welcome back, everyone. Fix AI's most dangerous weakness. That call coming from inside Big Tech's own house. The companies behind artificial intelligence now uniting to say industries and government need to come together to fight major security threats.
Here's ABC Sophie Flay with the details.
This morning, a new and urgent warning about artificial intelligence from the very companies developing it. More than 100 of them, including fierce rivals OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, and Anthropic, signing an open letter warning that AI-powered cyber attacks are about to get far more widespread and far more sophisticated. The letter warns, we have a limited window to strengthen cyber defenses, and says the services that communities depend on, from hospitals to water treatment plants, are at risk. The companies are calling for a global-wide effort to strengthen cybersecurity, urging governments to protect the most vulnerable targets. The threat is already here. Hackers have targeted water utilities in at least 7 states, and in some recent attacks, the hacking tools were written by AI. In one case that rattled the industry, an AI agent broke out of its testing environment and hacked another company. Bill Gates this week sounded a new alarm of his own.
AI could empower criminals to create bombs, bioweapons, and computer viruses. There's no plan to ease the entry into the AI era, and not even a plan to have a plan.
Gates, long a tech industry optimist, is now predicting AI will cause massive unemployment, white-collar jobs going first, and he warns even the best-case transition will be one of the most turbulent times in human history. It's a striking shift because just 3 years ago, Gates insisted the risks could be managed, telling our Rebecca Jarvis slowing down AI development would be a mistake.
If you just pause the good guys and you don't pause everyone else, you're probably hurting yourself.
Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
Kind of scary.
Yeah, I was going to say.
To put it lightly.
Yeah, all of this stuff is a little terrifying.
Yeah, didn't anybody see Terminator? That's
right?
My question, you know?
Exactly. Now here's meteorologist Evan Biggs with our full weather forecast.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. Let's get into things. We do have reduced visibility across parts of Washington County this morning. You can tell we're down to about a couple miles or even less. So as a result of this reduced visibility, we do have a dense fog advisory up until about 9 a.m. this morning in this part of the state. You can see where it's in effect, so definitely be careful if you are traveling there this morning, as it will be difficult to see for quite some time. Checking out the wayfindings, we're at around 3 feet according to the buoys. No small craft advisories or anything are in effect this morning. A lot of places are at around 3 feet, so overall we are looking pretty good as we do start things off. Meanwhile, no precipitation in our backyard. We do have some clouds developing from the southwest going toward the north and east. Some other areas seeing some precipitation at this time. We will see some more showers and thunderstorms for us as we head throughout the daytime period today, with an area low pressure, a cold front passing through before we clear things out later on tonight, and tomorrow being a nice day. So let's get into things here. Again, we do have some clouds, some more showers, and a few rumbles of thunder on the way for us today. And then later on tonight, look at this. Everything clears on out of here, and Saturday, look at this, being a very nice day. Just some clouds developing for the afternoon and evening time frame, and even then that will be rather minimal. Then a little bit more energy on the way as we head towards early Sunday. As for the wind, not too bad. A few gusts getting close to 20 miles per hour, so a little gusty, but nothing too extreme there. The winds, all right, a few gusts as we head towards overnight, but then Saturday, any gusty winds will be farther off towards the north through the afternoon. All right, your forecast coming up for today. A few thunderstorms, otherwise partly cloudy. Highs in the upper 70s, and a south wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Higher gusts are possible. By tonight, some thunderstorms early, then clouds and fog overnight, with lows in the mid-50s, and that northwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. For tomorrow, a beautiful day, mostly sunny, highs in the upper 70s, northwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And your extended forecast Sunday, more showers and some thunderstorms with low 80s for the high. And then Monday, mostly sunny with highs in the upper 70s. And then Tuesday, some showers with highs in the upper 70s.
Let your creativity run free at the Creative Arts Center, where we offer fun and affordable activities for all ages. Birthday parties, pottery wheel classes, painting lessons, or just for the fun of it. Get fired up for glazing projects as well as acrylics. We offer a wide selection of ceramic products for you to choose from, and we have thousands of pieces ready to paint. We are a Paragon kiln dealer and a Laguna Clay distributor. Stop by the Creative Arts Center today, located just off the Joshua Chamberlain Bridge in Brewer. The Creative Arts Center, where your only limitation is your imagination.
Here are the facts about Susan Collins and Medicaid. Susan Collins was the deciding vote to advance Donald Trump's Medicaid cuts.
Susan Collins was the deciding vote to advance the bill.
Now, thousands more Mainers are expected to lose their Medicaid coverage. Hospitals and clinics are shutting down, all to give massive tax breaks for billionaires. Look up the facts yourself and tell Susan Collins to stop voting for Trump's healthcare cuts.
Make your outdoor living space dreams come true with a little help from Granville Stone and Hearth. Granville can help you go from this to this. Outdoor fireplaces, custom outdoor kitchens, gorgeous stone patios, and more. You bring the dreams, we'll supply the materials to make it all real. Create your stunning outdoor oasis with help from the experts at Granville Stone and Hearth, Main Road, Holden.
Let Hellman's Bakery put a smile on your face with their tasty offerings of breads, baked beans, lasagna, tuche and turkey pies, fruit and cream pies, wedding and specialty cakes, pastries, and more. Hillman's, your hometown bakery, Fairfield.
This is a story of two brothers, one a hero and the other a monster.
He was cold, hateful,
A vicious killer.
It is frightening what he was thinking the whole time.
2020, tonight on ABC and stream on Disney Plus and Hulu.
Well, Craig's looking up something on the iPad, but class is in session in the Western Desert, but you're not going to need any pencils or notebooks for this lesson. Wheelhouse Racing School, based in Tooele, Utah, is now offering off-roading racing lessons for anyone. The institution used to operate on an invite-only basis before opening it up to the general public, with instructors riding along with students while teaching them the skills. Participants have the opportunity to work on their racing skills or train for top-level competitions like the Baja 1000. The school's general manager describes what the goal of the program is.
The format's designed to where we can take someone that has zero experience off-roading all the way up to someone who's currently off-road racing.
The school comes with a lot of prestige, with the general manager an off-roading racing champion himself. He also said the school trained some NASCAR drivers, but wouldn't name any names.
Well, they
That's
drive
pretty
just
fun.
like you do.
Oh,
you know,
not this again. Yeah, thanks, Craig.
All right, moving on now. A lunar eclipse captivates stargazers across the western part of the U.S. The moon experienced a deep partial lunar eclipse on Thursday night, with 96% of it passing through the darkest part of the Earth's shadow, causing it to turn a reddish color. Stargazers across swaths of the Americas, Europe, and Africa were all able to catch a glimpse of that event. Lunar and solar eclipses take place because of a precise alignment of the sun, moon, and Earth, making
cool.
it turn that weird reddish color.
Yeah, sometimes if we're lucky enough, we're up so early, we get to see some of this stuff, so
I'm just
pretty
joking.
neat.
She's not a crazy driver, by the way.
He always makes that joke.
But, yeah.
Well, that's all the time that we have left for this hour, but you can join us for the second hour of Good Morning Maine. That's next on Fox 22.
Have a great day, everyone.
Do you take propane tank?
Anything goes.
How about cardboard?
Anything goes.
How about old rug?
Yeah, anything goes.
So this too?
Furniture removal, basements, garages, attics, hoarder houses. It doesn't matter here at Anything Goes Junk Removal. Anything goes. Well, almost anything.
ABC 7, Fox 22. The place we call home, telling Maine stories wherever you roam. From sunrise shores to forests of pine, hard work, strong hearts, values that shine. From old towns to harbors, back roads to ocean blue. Neighbors helping neighbors in all that we do. Through storms and clear skies, day after day, we're here with the stories that matter in Maine. From mountains to sea, standing strong and true. This is Maine, this is home on ABC 7, Fox 22.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor. Good Morning America.
Foxbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello, everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, Maine police have arrested a suspect who fled yesterday after an alleged assault in Old Town. We'll have the details coming up.
Plus, as college students make their way back to school, business owners say they're cracking down on the use of fake IDs.
And several EMS professionals were honored at the State House in Augusta for their commitment and hard work.
Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us on this Friday morning. Happy Friday to you. We'll have those stories and more coming up. But first, a check of that forecast. The weekend is finally upon us. Everybody's wondering what it will do because the weekends in the summer are kind of coming to a close.
Yeah, they're pretty much over. Hate to say it, but tomorrow looks like it's going to be pretty nice.
That's the good news. So get out there and enjoy it if you can.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We'll